You can use any bank, credit union, as long as you can provide a valid routing and bank account number, you're good to go. So your refunds hit your bank account through Hire One, just as they do today through Metro State. If you get a paper check, you can continue to receive a paper check if that's what you want. The better news is, if you don't like your bank, or you don't like receiving a paper check, we give another option that's not available today. And that's that Hire Bank will provide you with what we call a one account that's been designed to be used for free or very low cost, and it guarantees acceptance for any student that attends Metro State. So if you can't get a bank account or you don't like the way your bank is treating you today, there's another option that you can look at. And I stress the word option. It's not mandated by any stretch of the imagination. So again, there are three choices: your bank account through your financial institution or credit union, a paper check, or a one account that's provided by Hire One. And that's the value proposition that we provide. In addition to that, one of the reasons that Ron and team here are interested in what Hire One can provide is that we provide additional service in terms of how we can communicate with you that your refund's on the way. You can kind of think of this as the FedEx for refunds. We can't deliver any refund until Metro State tells us about it. So we don't inadvertently just start sending messages or money. But what we do is when Metro State tells us that there's money going back to you or to your peers here, we alert you to the fact that money's coming. So we send emails. If you want, you can provide us your mobile number, and that's really what the sheet's going around now in terms of mobile alerts, and we'll text you information that your refund's on the way, so you don't have to call the business office here, you don't have to stop by. Doesn't matter where you are, you could be in class, you could be at home, you could be at work, but you're going to know where your refund happens to be at any given point in time. Any questions on what I've just, yes?
Well, with regards to how you guys are handling disbursements to students, I understand that you guys are also going to be handling our student worker payrolls as well. Is that accurate? Okay. And I'm just curious. So if nothing changes, right, and you guys are doing direct deposits for our student workers and that sort of thing, how are you guys making any money?
So it's a great question. How do we make our money? We typically make our money in one of three ways, well, in three ways in general. The first is that we provide students that want an account with a debit card. And when you swipe the debit card, the debit card's issued by MasterCard, and since we're the card issuing institution, we receive a portion of the merchant fee. It doesn't come from you directly, but it comes from the merchant, whatever they negotiate with MasterCard.
3% or 2.5%.
So they charge the merchant a fee. We get a portion of that from MasterCard.
Yeah.
The second is that the accounts that Hire One provides to every student, if they want one, are designed to be used for free or for low cost. We try to provide as many services as we can at no cost, and I'll pass a sheet around here that compares us with some local institutions. In return for that, we retain interest on the account. If there is any money in the account, you can open an account with Hire One with nothing, and that's that's unique, because it's very hard to do that with most other banks. But you don't have to have any money in your account at all at any given point in time. But if you do, then do any of you have interest-bearing accounts today? Does anybody? Have you looked at it recently? It's not a lot, but we bank a fair number of students, and so in return for saving you dollars, we keep the pennies that may add up on your account. And the third way is that we typically charge the institution for using Hire One. With the agreement that Minsky had negotiated, that we will soon have 10 schools within the system using us, and there will be no cost to the institution. So we're waiving one of our revenue streams.
I don't want to go out of turn on myself a bit. So one of the concerns that I have is that the accounts that students are set up with regards to their reimbursements or their student payroll is that it's treated like a checking account. And I'm curious, so if they receive a debit card that's attached to their account and there are not funds available and they go to make the charge, is that charge declined, or are they provided with an overdraft fee? Can you be specific to that, please?
Absolutely. So we are different. Technically I work for a bank with Hire One, but I bank with Chase. The reason I do that is that Hire One offers no loan or debit, no credit products whatsoever. And so we don't offer overdraft protection, because that's really a short-term loan that charges high interest rates.
Sure.
So if you don't have any money in your account, or you don't have enough to cover the purchase, we decline the transaction. Okay? So we only want students to use the money that they actually have, not to get into debt. And that's one of the reasons that we were attracted to Metro State, as well as Minsky as a whole, because we don't get you into debt. So I bank with Chase because I need those products, unfortunately.
So like, I bank with Bremer simply because Metro State goes through Bremer. And it's easier for me because, you know, I get it never leaves the bank. So now is that money are we not going to be receiving that money from Bremer anymore? Or can I still get my direct deposit into my Bremer account?
Absolutely.
But it has to first come from Higher One?
It would be transferred to Higher One, and then we'll send it back to Bremer.
Okay, but I have to actually opt out of the thing still, the Higher One card.
What you would do is simply provide us with your Bremer bank account number, and we'd do all the rest. So it will show up the same time that it did before. Okay? Angie, and then
Well, you kind of answered my first question, as in, does this process slow the, so we are getting our financial aid distributed on the 27th, will we still get on the 27th, no matter what form that is in?
it's a great question, Angie.
Or whatever we would have gotten before. I mean, I've always gotten it on the day that they say I'm gonna get it on, but,
So it depends on how the process works here.
okay.
It's typically a 24-hour turnaround, but it depends on when Metro State gets us the file with the information and the funds. But usually, every school works this so that if you're accustomed to getting your funds in your account on the 27th, it will happen the same way with Higher One. Okay?
Can I address that
Yeah.
briefly? One of the things, though, is that Metro State, normally, we've done the disbursement before the due date.
Right.
And I know students have kind of gotten accustomed to that. When the disbursement date is the 27th, that means that's the day we send it, the day we have to send it to your bank.
Right.
Now, your bank, it wouldn't be available to you then until the following business day, which normally then, since it's due on a Friday, it would be on Monday. Normally, and the process that we'll do with Higher One is the same thing. Financial aid runs overnight on Tuesday night, so on Wednesday morning is when the financial aid files are available to us. And we're going to continue to process it on Wednesday. So that shouldn't change, but I don't want you to have the assumption that the 27th means it's in your bank on the 27th. It means that's the day we have to send it out.
Yeah.
So, but we're going to continue to try to do it, you know, promptly, because it actually works out well for us to do it on a Wednesday, because that's when we process other checks.
Right.
So I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and I mean, I just think that from talking with a lot of students who rely on financial aid just to live, I just don't want this process to slow down because now we're putting another middle person in it, or a different one, or however you want to word it. So, my other question is, so despite the fact if you want it direct deposited, you want a paper check, or you want to go through and get a Higher One debit card, every student that gets financial aid or gets paid because they're a student worker has to make that decision and come to you and tell you guys that. We can't just leave it how it is and it'll just stay how it is.
It's a great question. Now, there's a change that's required. It takes a whole 5 minutes of each student's life. The great thing is you can go online and do that. You don't have to come here to the business office or fill out a form. But you tell us anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The other nice thing is you can change it if you want to, as often as you want. So what we typically find is that students that are receiving paper checks today will find out that you folks are getting your money faster because you chose ACH either to your own bank or to a Higher One account. And they can go online and change that so they don't have to put up with a paper check.
Okay. So pretty much we're just changing from Bremer Bank to Higher One.
Correct.
Okay.
At a high level.
Right.
Yep.
And actually, we still are banking with Bremer, but the funds be funneled through Higher One rather than coming directly from Bremer.
Okay.
Noel?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so you have been inserted into the process so that if I was not wanting to set up a higher one account, you would still be a middleman. My money would come from payroll, go to you, and then get to my bank account.
It
If
has to
that's
go,
how I had set it up before.
it has to go to somebody, so it would come to us.
Okay, and then do we have to do anything at all if we do not want to change the existing process? Because if things are coming through you, then to us, is there any change that we need to do in our existing accounts?
So we'll be the repository of information. If you want this to go to a Bremer bank or to a TCF bank or to whatever bank that you want, you'll supply us with your routing and bank account number, and we'll transact that money transfer for you.
So we have to talk to you to retain our existing services?
The good news is you don't have to talk to us, but you can provide us the information.
Okay.
Part of the reason for that is that ISRS doesn't do dual systems. So particularly for direct deposits, it won't handle two different deposit systems. So it's basically an all or nothing proposition. And in order to have the students sign up, you have to go online, you have to make a choice. And if you don't make a choice with financial aid, there's a default option, but it delays your financial aid. It means that you wait until the aid is dispersed by higher one as a default. So if you haven't made any choice, then there's a delay in when the aid goes out.
The other piece to this is that Ron was telling me earlier that you folks are probably the anomaly within the student population here at Metro. There are less than 40% of your peers that are receiving their money electronically. What we find on every campus, we've been working with North Hennepin for the last 3 years, and what we find on every campus is that there are a number of students that don't have bank accounts for a variety of reasons. It could be because they've been refused, or they know they would be, because every bank can choose who they want their customers to be. We guarantee acceptance for every student, regardless of their credit history, regardless of past mistakes they may have made, or they may be a first-generation college student that they just don't have much of a credit history. So we guarantee acceptance for every student, whether they live here in Minnesota, they come from a foreign country, it doesn't matter. And we will raise that, what we're doing for you and for your students is raising the acceptance of electronic funds transfer, which is so much, it's safer, it's faster, and it's more convenient than a paper check. If you're getting that today, if I were here telling you that Ron and company had decided that we're going to send all you paper checks, you'd probably have a revolt on your hands. So if you understand how nice this is, we want to provide that same service to your students that haven't had that opportunity. And again, we're giving them choices. Any bank or guaranteed acceptance from higher one.
I'm looking at this, and I think I might have figured it out myself, but you're offering also paper checks as well with the card, with the debit card?
So it's what I would term a full-service checking account. You can write unlimited checks against it. You can use your debit card, obviously, as an electronic check for purchases. You can pay your bills online.
Because I'm looking at right here for insufficient or uncollected funds returned item or paid item, $29 for the first item, $38 for subsequent items.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that you just said that you can't.
It's hard to do that. Okay, we put that down because Congress has changed a lot of the banking regulations as of late. One of them is that we can't charge, nor any bank really can charge a non-sufficient funds charge unless, there's always an unless if Congress is involved, unless you set it up as a recurring expenditure. So if you set up your gym membership or your car loan or your home loan or whatever else to be automatically taken out of your account every month, if that happens to bounce, then any bank can charge you a non-sufficient fund fee for that. But if it's what's considered a one-time transaction, and this is a misnomer too, so it could be because you don't know or you're willingly trying to go and spend money you don't have. Any of us can do it. If you go and write a check for $500 and that's going to drain your account, but then you go and start making purchases with your debit card, all those are considered a one-time transaction and you can't be charged for those. So we can argue if that really increases financial responsibility for anybody, but that's the way the system's set up now. So there is a possible fee, but it's really hard to get charged that.
And